Man, today's live. First of all, I literally just thought about doing this like last week because I was like, we always for Black History Month we go back in history and we post about all our black the four founders before us. But I was like, but we're making history like every single day, like right, like. We're making history now every single day. Hey, Portugal, watching from Portugal. What's up, Portugal? In the building lifestyles. So I was like, I want to like not only commemorate and support black artists now, but our black men, right? Because like, we, especially as a black woman, like we get this thing where we're just like, okay, are we really protected and supported by black men? And, in general, yeah, we are. And our black men are amazing. So I wanted to start this Monday. I'm doing it every Monday. I'm going to have guests on every Monday for the whole month of February. So Terrace is here. So thank y'all for coming through. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. We sharing. This is community. Black and all. We good?
We good.
Is she start eating yet?
Yeah.
Wait, started eating.
She's in deep with a game right now, so she ain't started yet.
What's her game? What's her game of choice?
Right now it is American Ninja Warrior.
American Ninja.
Yeah. She's in
at like 2 and 3 because my youngest is 2. They know how to swipe, go up, go do.
Oh yeah. I got older kids too. Like I got a son that's 24 years old. You know what I'm saying, that I had when I was a baby. So it's like
Pause on the play. You got a son that's how old?
Well, he about to be 24. Like this month, about to be 24. Terrence. But I remember him as a baby to my little baby now. And it's like the internet wasn't around when he was a baby like that. Like it wasn't no iPhone. It was 97? What the fuck was it?
97. Was that Sega Genesis? Was that Nintendo?
I don't know. I was a kid then, but I was grown and I was already touring and playing. I had left the video game. I was all the Dog Pound and John Coltrane by then. It was like the quest has started by then.
The quest has started. All right, so this is like perfect segue. Bring us to the quest. How did it start? How did you get into music? Because one thing I first of all, if you don't tap in to, first of all, when do you sleep is the question, because I see you up all times of night. I know you got a baby girl and I know as a musician, you're up all times of night, but if you guys aren't following Terrace, early in the mornings, early Pacific Coast time, like he usually comes in and does these live videos of jazz. And one thing, first of all, it's always so dope. You had a whole vibe going on this morning. Like,
I thank you.
So dope, and I love it. And you know what it did? It encouraged me and influenced me to starting my mornings with my kids with just jazz music playing in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one thing I took from that, I took a few things, but I heard you say, if it wasn't for this guy right here, I know the name, but I want you to share. You said, if it wasn't for this guy right here, I would have been crippling.
Yeah, for sure.
Who is that guy, and how did your journey into music, and in particular jazz music, how did that come into you?
Jackie McLean was his name, and he was an alto saxophonist from Harlem, New York, from Sugar Hill, Harlem, New York, and he just embodied everything that I felt. I personally, he embodied everything that I felt what a man was at that time. He embodied everything, and my father as well as my first influence, but outside of my father, that became Jackie McLean. And my father prepared me to be accepting to a person like Jackie McLean and different things like that. But I would have to start a little earlier so you could really understand who Jackie was, his significance, to me, and the whole culture, But so I grew up in Los Angeles, from the hospital to Slauson and West Boulevard, then to 8th Ave, then the same, all you know, all through the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, my father is a jazz musician, a drummer. My mother is a gospel vocalist and a songwriter on songwriter, everything. So, uh, you know, they met at a rehearsal in the '70s, hooked up, fell in love, had me, and we went to South Central LA. You know what I'm saying? And South Central LA was a different place in the '80s than it was in the '90s and, you know, 2000s. You know, I mean, I remember South Central pre-crack cocaine. It was a glimpse, but I remember South Central pre-crack cocaine, and it was a different thing. It's like we didn't grow up having the desire to go above the 10 freeway because everything was there. You know, if we wanted to see superstars at any given point, you could see Ice Cube drive down the street, Dr. Dre and them, and everything. Like the Crenshaw district was just it. If you wanted to see the you know the most beautiful human beings in the world, they're all on Crenshaw Boulevard coming from the Dons. I mean, I'm just talking about, like, it was just fun. It was Leimert Park Jazz Festivals and the African Marketplace, you know, and different things like that, you know. And I actually remember too when a lot of most black people, a lot of them in the Crenshaw district had houses. A lot of us had houses, you know. Growing up, like real neighborhood shit, trees, and everybody was cool, and everybody still was cool. And then, you know, I mean, the hood was still there, you know. You know, it was still the hood there for sure, but it wasn't moving like that until crack cocaine hit, and you know, like 80, 87, when crack hit, the guns got bigger, the money got crazy, the motherfuckers started going crazy, losing their shit, losing their families. And my family, being a musician family, was a product of the crack thing turning shit around, you know, from being artists and everybody having broken hearts, a place to express your art, because crack cocaine has moved in and destroyed the whole black love thing. Was kind of bent. It was kind of bent. It was warped at this time, 88, 89, 90, 91. You know what I'm saying? It was warped, and it was like a dark time. But through this crazy dark time in Los Angeles, you have things that were playing on the radio. Like you have Teddy Riley that was dominating the radio with New Jack Swing. You have NWA and them just starting to crack, 87, 88 with Boys in the Hood. These songs on the radio on 8 Ball, then Dope Man in 89. You had 1580 K-Day. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, like everybody always talk about New York, and I love New York. I love my shit. A lot of my shit come from New York. New York hip hop created in New York, but the West Coast had the only motherfucking radio station dedicated to hip hop music, and that was 1580 K-Day. You know what I'm saying? Like Greg Mack, the Mac the Cat, Julio G, Battle Cat, they broke New York records. They broke LL, Run DMC, all that shit. And so they broke that shit in LA. So this was a thing. It was hip hop playing in my house, jazz playing, all this shit playing. But then outside the crib, you look outside at this time in the 80s, like late 80s into the 90s, man, the police used to be petrified to come to 8th Avenue and Slauson. It would be just a wall of homies. Dorset Village, this is before the gates was up at Dorset Village, a wall of homies, like just, and homegirls and kids and everybody cooking, festive. This wasn't a gathering of homeboys showing what guns they got, tripping everybody coming by. This wasn't that. This was a village being festive every day. You know what I'm saying? And it was my village. It was my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I grew up seeing. It was just, I remember seeing all that shit, you know, even young, seeing like Battle Cat roll through the hood, and us being young, being like, that's Battle Cat. Battle Cat live in the hood. Battle Cat live in the hood. You know, and then knowing history, like how DJ Quick used to walk to the hood to get drum sounds from Battle Cat, like just knowing all that history in the mix of the Crip and shit, but then in the mix of the jazz and the music because of my household. So it was all these things compounded at one time. But, you know, as a young kid, a young boy, as a young man, because my father, once he got, once it got kind of bad with the drug thing, you know, the crack thing, you know, we was living in that hotel. We used to live at the Crenshaw Motel on 63rd and Crenshaw, right across from the liquor store. I grew up in that motherfucker. And playing baseball and playing with the other dopehead sons, and you know what I'm saying? Like that's how I grew up over there. But So when my mom was like, okay, fuck this nigga, we out of here. We can't live like this. He got to go. I'm going to help him go. My mom sent him a ticket back to the East Coast because her theory was, my mama from LA, her theory was, you know, I can't have a boy that I know he going outside getting infected by the cripping because that's what's going on outside. But then inside, I can't, I don't want this type of example right now for him. And that I got a corner as a black young man, got a corner somewhere for us to feel safe as a kid so we could grow up and blossom. You know what I'm saying? Especially so once he left, once he got sent out, you know what I'm saying? My mama probably looking at this shit. Once he got sent out, shoo, and then we moved to Culver City. We moved on up. But I was still going to Marcus Garvey and everything, you know, over there on 7th Ave. I think it's on Madison. Anyway, on 7th Ave in Slauson. But so that forced me, once he moved back to the East Coast, back then, usually you would get put on the hood like in the summertime when everybody's home. That's when you got time to fuck around a lot. You know, if you especially got mama like mine and most brothers and sisters in the hood, we had strict parents. Like everybody was strict. That was everybody whooped your ass when I was growing up. You know? None of that. You know what I'm saying? So it was like it forced my mom to have to fly me back to the East Coast because my mom was like, she knew the program because all my uncles was banging. Most of my uncles was from the hood, from other hoods. Like it's just a long lineage of the Crip card in my family from the East Side and the kitchens and everything. So she was like, okay, his daddy a jazz musician and living and living on the East Coast, I'm gonna ship him back there. Every June, when I first went, I hated that shit. I was 10 years old, and I hated that. And then for some reason, man, every time I went back, my dad would do these jazz gigs. He was clean by then. He started getting clean.
Okay.
By then, you know what I'm saying? It was a process, but you know he started getting clean. But I would go back to the East Coast, and the culture was completely different. It wasn't. On the West Coast, it was Mexicans hate blacks, blacks hate Mexicans. And in Harlem, on 147th St. Nick, it was black, Mexican, Dominican, Cuban. We all niggas, and they white. You know what I'm saying? It was a different thing. It was back in the neighborhood. It was the homies coming over. Man, what's up, man? Let's go outside and, you know, man, let's go to Skate Depot. Let's go chase the girl to Skate Depot. Let's go to World on Wheels. Let's meet up the homies on World on Wheels. Let's go over here. Let's go. Let's just be in Baldwin Hills Park, man. Let's go to Fox Hill Mall, man. I think the mother niggas at Fox Hill Mall, like right. But on the East Coast, it was like my dad would get up and practicing rudiments. He always practiced rudiments. Hours. He was practice hours. He practiced drums for like at least 8 hours a day all my life. Even through drugs, he still practiced. So he would wake up practicing. Then I would go out to the balcony and I would hear all these different instruments. Everybody in the neighborhood was playing a fucking instrument. And, you know, everybody was playing it, or niggas was rapping, niggas was tap dancing. Even the dope dealers had talent. Like everything was just that. It was honestly the most highest level black art I've ever seen in my fucking life at this time, right? And I was like, damn, this is where my dad come from. This, okay. I see why he a jazz dude. I see why LA was different for him. Okay. That's why we listen to that kind of music. I start making sense. I start going back east every year, putting pieces together with why I felt like I always had good judgment. Like if 4 of the homies got shot at a liquor store, you didn't have to tell me to ever go to that liquor store. For some reason, that was a hard decision for a lot of my friends.
Right.
I've always been like, I'm good, nigga, I'm out. We go. So I don't know why I even said that, but it just going back and forth to New York and the East Coast, New York, Nebraska, Denver, Minneapolis. I just kept traveling every summer with him. Man, I got exposed to the saxophone, you know, but it was already in my DNA from young because my dad would always play these records, John Coltrane, Sonny Stitt, Ornette Coleman, Jackie McLean. But I wasn't fucking with it back as a kid. I was like, Jackie McLean, he always played Jackie McLean. I never asked him what Jackie McLean was, but it was better than me. That's why I tell all mamas out there, when y'all pregnant, be cautious of the music y'all play while y'all pregnant. That shit starts there. It start right. Whatever you say, it start right there. Bam, because that vibrations, boom, boom. So I'm like, damn, okay. So one day, now I'm like 13. My dad played this gig, this jazz gig on a Saturday night, this club called Neverettes. What Neverettes in the Bronx? What Neverettes at? Probably in the Bronx or something like that. A lot of different shit in the Bronx back then. And then, you know, my dad was fly, you know, a light-skinned dude, curly hair. I'm not saying light skin better than dark, dark better than light. Don't play me like that. I'm just describing him. So people don't be playing me like that.
We're not, don't bring it here. We're not that energy.
Look, silky hair and shit, diamond pinky ring, always cologne. He always run 5 miles, 10 miles every morning. He always in shape, tall dude, bilingual. You feel me? Fly, jazz drummer, amazing drummer. So a lot of women was there. And this is when I first started I started being like women, girls. Oh, girls, you know. And my dad had played, my uncle played saxophone, Richie Love. And then my dad told red cup to everybody.
Toast.
It's water. It ain't liquor.
Monday morning. Ain't no judgment up in here. That's one thing we're not coming through with any judgments.
I don't even mind judgment. It's all good. I like it.
Period.
So this lady come to me and say after my dad gig, she like, what instrument do you play? And I was like, I don't play nothing. And she said, well, let me tell you, she's a Dominican woman, little accent. She said, you should play the saxophone, Poppy. And I was like, why? And she was like, because you can make love to your woman without touching her. And the next day, I said, Dad, I got it. I saxophone, you know. But then when I got the saxophone, and it was like a fucking movie. When I got it, I opened the case, and I remember I got a picture. I'm gonna send you the picture. My dad took a picture the first day I touched the saxophone. It was like a telegram from God.
I think this is your mom, Gigi.
Nah.
Okay. Somebody called you son. I didn't mean to interrupt. Somebody said Reggie Andrews said call him son.
Oh, Reggie Andrews. No, that's another safety net.
My mom instincts kicked in. I said, hold up, we gotta transfer.
No.
All right, go ahead. Just said I had to transfer that. I felt some.
What was I saying?
You were saying you got the saxophone. You opened it up. It was like a movie.
Touched it, and it was like electricity. I never felt like that for nothing in my life. I was 13. I never forget that feeling in my life. And I grabbed it, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And then it felt like everything my dad had installed in me as a baby, and my mom, all the jazz, all the stuff, even all the homies across the street, all the stories, all the snow. Like, nigga, you better not stop on Crenshaw on Hyde Park at that red light. All that, but then all of the good food, all the good times, all of the times that we didn't need no police to come around because we policed our own shit. All of that love. It started coming through. It started coming through my shit. Like I was like, what it felt like another way of me speaking. And then after that, when I flew back to LA, I just dove in. Like I didn't care. All I was listening to was hella John Coltrane, Cannonball, and Wu-Tang Clan and everything Death Row. And that's it for like 2 years. And I practiced 8 hours a day on the saxophone. I never felt.
Hold the phone. Cash. Come on, my dude. I mean, come on. That's so good. Okay, well, get in.
Hey, that's why I'm talking fast. I'm trying to get mine out.
Come on, that's why I'm like, I know. Come on.
What was I saying?
So, John Coltrane, you came to LA, you dove in.
I dove in. I just dove in, but I was still, and I skipped that. I was doing beats since 5 years old. I had a drum machine, so I always been doing beats. Like that was my shit. But I dove in on the saxophone because jazz, like I didn't learn that much in high school. I don't even remember shit about school. Jazz taught me so many keys of learning because I fell in love with studying through that music. Because when you get one jazz record and you look at one name and you look up that one name, it's 20 names behind that one name. And so it's all these it's this rich history that people that are just like me, you, people that like jazz wasn't made in Beverly Hills. This shit was made in the ghetto. This shit was made by people that just wanted to speak a certain type of language spiritually and have fun and feel good. So once that shit started tying to my everyday life, it just started morphing into just, you know, who I am today. And then, you know, I was going to Santa Monica High School in 9th grade because my mother thought that would be a better choice. And then I went to Santa Monica for 9th grade. Then I got kicked out. I caught a gun case. I got kicked out of Santa Monica. Then I got sent to Lock High. And when I got sent to Lock High is where I didn't get sent to Lock High. Reggie Andrews came and got me from Lock and took me to Lock High. It was a school security at Santa Monica High School named Mad Dog, a drummer. And he had noticed I always practice my saxophone all day, every day throughout the whole quad, you know, through all this quad. But I only had a gun. I only had a gun because back then it was real tension between the Black and Mexicans in Santa Monica and Culver City and Venice and everything. But I wasn't going to be a tough guy. Nobody knew I had a gun. It wasn't that wasn't the vibe. So it wasn't like I'm from LA. That wasn't the vibe at all. I was happy to be at Santa Monica to be away from any form of stress. I just knew if anybody was to run up, I was going to have to pop them at that time. This bottom line, because they was killing brothers back then. That shit was crazy.
It was crazy. Let me tell you something. I'm from DC, right? So I'm from the East Coast. So I didn't know anything about the whole Black and Mexican war. We didn't have that. Like you said, how it was in New York when you went over there. We were all
yeah.
So I didn't see that. And then growing up, you know, we had our music started in the streets with Go-Go, Chuck Brown, all live. Everybody was hitting on the buckets and all that. So it's rich in our history. So come on, keep going. I don't even have to.
And that's how gangbanging is to our history as well. It's literally because niggas grandma gangbang. Like I know 75-year-old real Pyrules, like for real. So it's like, but that's a different day. But what was that?
Okay, Santa Monica, you caught the
Santa Monica, I got hemmed up for a gun. But Mad Dog, the security was from LA. He was a drummer. And he told Reggie Andrews, without me now that I know now, hey, it's a little black kid up here that I could tell he move a little different than these different kids. I'm not sure socially if these white folks is dealing with him correctly, bottom line. And I think this is one of them kids that we could get. I think he's at that brink that we could get. And, you know, so I was wondering why when I first got to that school, hold on. Yo!
I love this. I love it. His energy, everything. I don't even want him to stop. That's crazy.
Come here. So check it out. So then my counselor, Ron Wilkins was one of the brothers that was right there when the Watch cracked off. He was a counselor at Santa Monica High School, and he knew Reggie Andrews and Mad Dog. It was like a black movement going on that God placed me in and didn't even know that. Like, so I got to Santa Monica. What's up? You ready to eat? Okay, I'm gonna set you up. Okay, give me 5 minutes.
No.
Okay, let's set you up.
Go now, go.
Hold on.
Right
Hold
now.
on. Hold on. This is gonna be 1 second.
Listen.
Here, you wanna talk to the people?
What's her name?
Connor Ella.
Connor.
We love Ella Fitzgerald.
Connor.
Say hi. Take the phone.
Uh-huh.
Hello, how are you?
Say hi.
Hi.
How are you? Is it
Good.
Big TV, little TV.
Little TV.
Okay, come on. Here, give me the phone. Hold on, y'all, 1 second.
Time.
Where's the come on and show?
Guys,
Can you also
guys,
yeah.
black,
You like
taking
so
black
big?
Yeah.
every day. Every
Okay, hold on.
day.
Where's the remote?
Had earlier.
Oh, you want to do it?
Interviews. This is what we do. We are rich. We are rich. We are rich in everything.
Oh, I spilled the. Okay.
Culture, rich. Little Miss Connor. We know who run it over there.
Oh, you know, she running for sure. Can't wait till her mama get home.
She said no.
So, Ron Wilkins
Yes.
was my counselor in 9th grade. And Ron Wilkins was one of the brothers that was right there when the Watch Riots kicked off in 60. Y'all look it up, the Watch Riots. That changed the course of history in black culture in general.
Period.
So, Mad Dog, Ron Wilkins, Reggie Andrews is friends from LA, brothers from Watts, Compton, like real brothers, like ex-Panthers. You know what I'm saying? And Reggie Andrews contacted my mom and was like, Reggie Andrews, I teach at Lock High. I noticed that your son is excelling in music at a high level, fast. And I noticed he's having still a little trouble in some other areas. And I feel like if he comes to Lock High, I could get him a tutor. I could guarantee we get him a full ride to school, blah, blah, blah. That's right. So my mom, all she heard was full ride. She didn't hear shit else. Like, when you going to Lock? And I was like, Lock? Lock is on the east side of LA. I'm from the west side. Lock is like, it's not Watts. People say it, but it's not really Watts. But it's right there it's right LA, in between LA, Watts, and Compton. It's like, at this time it was a very dangerous school. You know, I know everybody think their school was dangerous, but no, fuck that. You know, I remember when this Spanish girl was found hanging from a tree in that motherfucker. Like, that shit was crazy. Like, Lock High was crazy growing up. So, and real police with guns on campus at that time. We talking about the 90s.
Right.
But you go to M4, M5, the music classes. Reggie Andrews was the teacher there. Now, Reggie Andrews taught Gerald Albright, Patrice Rushen, Tyrese. He taught all these black, these black icons, and he was from Watts. He also wrote millions of songs, sold millions of records, but he decided to teach children and give his gift to kids. So I was one of them kids at 14. I checked in the Lock High, I was a little scared because it was a different terrain than what I'm used to. It wasn't, I grew up on Crenshaw and Slauson, knowing everybody. Then from there, going to Culver City for a second, and going to Santa Monica High. So I was like, like when I got the Lock, that was the real shit. You know what I'm saying? That was like, okay, then I'm on the east side. What's happening? Like, it might go down, but I gotta go because mama like, I don't give a fuck what's going down. You going there. And when I got there, what I thought was gonna be the darkest experience was an experience that changed my whole trajectory in life. Everything just totally just swapped. Like, there is where I just learned. I learned how to learn there. And I think that was the start of that. I count that as the start of the real quest of the learning how to learn. Once I learned how to learn and I fell in love with learning, and everything else just shot through. Brother, it's just so many things in life just was able to move past. Then from Lock High, at 11th grade, I started playing with Puff when All About the Benjamins came out. My first job with him was the Soul Train Music Awards. And once I saw Puff,
Happened.
my godmother, Shirley Madison, was a contractor back then. And she was a contractor for all of the big TV shows, and she was just plugged in. She was a songwriter, and she was just LA plugged in, like high level, single parent woman that was plugged the fuck in. And she had a talented daughter. And I was her godson, you know what I'm saying? So she was always trying to get me acting young, a cool, real, soulful black mama, take your ass to auditions, always trying to hustle the kids. We was young, so she was like, hey, you playing that horn? Puffy looking for a horn player. Already said you're going to do the gig, right? But you got to miss school. And this was also the first time I had to deal with a big decision, because at this time, Reggie Andrews had done so much for me and my family. And I remember it was a big national or something. It was some type of competition or something like that, or a parade or something. And it was very important for him and different people that we all be there and we all march the neighborhood. But I mean, when Puff called, this is the first time he probably Ray don't even know this, that I was dealt. It was a hard. And most people say Puff, 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 but I grew up under certain rules and regulations that all the G homies that I grew up under in my neighborhood, the real G's, the real the drug-free gangsters, that I was pushing good fatherhood, they always was like, just like, they just taught me so much about moving that I kept all them different rules with me. And they taught me that if somebody loyal to you and loyal to your family, win, lose, or draw, don't nothing break that. You supposed to go in because that's what they did, you know. And what I did was I was battling with that whole decision. And my little cousin Thundercat, and Stephen Bruner, but now his name is Thundercat, singer, bass player, one of my favorite artists in the world. But I called him. He was younger than me. I said, man, I'm getting dressed to go to school, man, but I really want to go to this rehearsal with Puff down at the Shrine. It's the Soul Train Music Awards. It's Puff Daddy. Like, he was bigger than life. Biggie had just got killed not a few months prior. So I was Puff, man. Like, I really feel I should just be around this energy and just. It's at the Soul Train Music Awards. It's what the fuck? I'm in. Nigga, what should? But I love Reggie. Yeah. And Thundercat said, man, Reggie trained you for this. This is why we in their classes reading music. We in the middle of Watts, or we in the middle of the East Side, where niggas are scared to come to because you get your motherfucking head blown off learning how to read music, learning how to read different styles of music, learning different instruments, learning how to be the ultimate musician warriors to compete with. At that time, we were being trained to compete with white musicians because they got all the work. So Reggie Andrews always made it a point to make sure we were faster. We read faster. We understood the culture. We understood how to be free. We understood how to be respectful. We understood how to love. Reggie Andrews taught us all those things. And he used to come in and say, music business. What's the biggest word? He'd be like, business. Sit down. We're going to talk about the business, royalties, publishing, ownership, masters. He would just steal all this in our head along with the plan. Yeah, you can play all the jazz you want, but can you read a chart? Because what if you get called to do a movie and you got to feed your motherfucking family and they pay $10,000, nigga, you ain't got nothing, but you can't read the chart to get the money for your babies. What type of daddy is that? He would just like say the harsh real, but he would say with a smile like, nah, you know, man, you know, you don't want to be like the musicians that sell little weed and play music. Like, he would say slick shit, but as a young black man that was battling the temptations of the streets and wanting to dive in and getting always spanked, gun case here, gun case there, tripping and always getting spanked, until it was God transferred my whole life to Reggie Andrews. And then I just believe Reggie Andrews, between me, Kamasi Washington, Ronald Bruner, Thundercat, I mean, I just really believe, and I thank God for him for installing all that black history, music history, manhood history, and future and present, and just really be a father figure to us, because that's what Reggie Andrews really did. You know, and he got his own kids. He didn't have to fuck with us. You feel me? You know, I know how to have my own kids, and I be wanting to share to the world too, but I'd be like, damn, these niggas be wearing me out. I be having to take a break from kids. So Reggie, you know, just Reggie to do that and fuck with us, you know, and that's all on the East Side. My experience on the East Side is only up. You know, that's how I got to be friends with so many bounty hunters. And I found out about so many bounty hunters, and so I found out so much history and so many friends in the Grapes. And like the Grapes and the bounty hunters, they got this forever war, but a lot of them is related. I learned that shit young, and I learned it's a lot of rules. It's a lot of African tribal shit in Watts that motherfuckers don't understand. You feel me? Like in the Compton card, it's like I learned that these rich communities, Compton and Watts have the baddest motherfucking artists in the world come out of Compton and Watts. Eric Dolphy, Charles Mingus, Patrice Rushen, Chico Hamilton. I mean, it's so much history in Compton and Watts. It is just crazy that the only light that is shine is some bullshit misunderstandings. But I know Watts. Watts say, I'm not from Watts, but I damn near am because I did all my high school, and that's just my heart. Like, I learned humility in Watts. I learned how to, nigga, you better walk a fine line. If you ain't tough, don't play tough. Because that little nigga over there, he tough, and he gonna test your toughness. So what you gonna do, black man? Oh, I want to be able to make it to the next day. I'm not even feeling like that. You know what? Bump it down. Don't battle with that spirit no more. Because if you ain't ready to die for that Crip and Terrace Martin, you better slow down, little boy. And that I told myself that through dealing with the homies from Great, you know, and homies from Bounty Hunters, and a lot of the East Side homies. I was just listening to them and how a lot of them was born into it. You feel me? A different people choose to dive in. A lot of cats don't have an option but to dive in. So I opted out on the option where I was at the age to where I knew the language and I was highly respected because I went to every hood and I didn't fight nobody. I gave them music. That was my thing. I want to go to your hood with my drum machine, nigga. Watts, Compton, Long Beach in the garage with Goldie Loke on the east side. Every hood, every ghetto in LA before the internet, nigga was doing beats for every gang banger, Blood, Crip, Mesh. I ain't give a fuck. If you got electricity, nigga, and some weed, I'm pulling up. And that's how I was able for my heart to feel warm about me being connected so strongly to the streets through my father being a drummer and a gangster nigga and just being from LA, but then all that rich in the music. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the foundation, and that's the roots. That's everything. You know, from there on out is me taking that and me knowing how to keep a job and set some things up and me know how to own some shit.
Yeah. What did you learn about publishing rights and owning your rights to your music? What were some of the key points that you learned about that you can pass along to other artists that are here that are not in position yet? You know what I mean?
Well, the good part about Los Angeles, California, you know, at the time, remember I said earlier, the East Coast has such a stronger art thing. I felt like such a stronger art. I won't say, I'll say stronger, and I say people pay more attention to the art. You know, we got, I believe on the West Coast, the only area we have that really is like, I feel like high level art that's like everybody, mama, daddy, babies, gang bang, and no art. And it's like East Oakland. It's like Oakland. Like the Bay to me is the Bay is some of the most highest level art in the world.
Yep.
When this is done, when the hustle bustle done, I'm gonna give me a cold-blooded crib in Oakland Hills. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll be saying that shit. I don't know, but I started getting the publishing down because in LA it wasn't such a strong art scene. But what it was a get money place in business, because all of our heroes are dope dealers. And dope dealers in the 80s and 90s were the biggest investors into the music game. And everybody wanted ownership. So most of the brothers that I grew up under had to figure out how to gain ownership and still get investments from different people. So you always heard words like ownership. It was always people fighting over ownership, people getting killed over ownership. So I figured out ownership is power. You know, publishing is power, especially if you got hit records. You know, so, but even if you don't have hits, it'll make sense one day. You got to keep doing it, have a lot of it, but you know, I learned young. I learned like at 19, you know, I was living with Battle Cat. You know what I'm saying? I was hearing him talk and Snoop would come over and I remember Battle Cat would, you know, have to bang on niggas and get all his shit and get his shit and fight for his shit and he'll be number one and still get, I remember learning the behind the scenes of the flip flops through Battle Cat because he was the best, still is the best. Like, and he was mainstream, but I kept hearing him say publishing. So I kept being like, them, and he would tell me, I'd be like, what's publishing mean? He's like, I got this publishing deal, we got this, you got to make sure. And Battle Cat just casually taught me about publishing and ownership, you know, with publishing. So it was early with me. I don't remember a time I didn't know about publishing, to keep it real, because I always been, I love money. You feel me? Niggas don't get deep with me neither on that neither, but I like keep my lights on, you feel me? And I'm a vegan, that shit gets expensive. And I smoke amazing weed that's organic and not spray, and I drink organic tequila. That's a lifestyle, so it takes money for that. So I could keep living and give niggas this music and give my babies this shit, you feel me? So, you know, I was on publishing, like, is that the way to get the bread? Then I was like, well, shit, let me try to get the bread. And Battle Cat helped shape me into the tier after Reggie Andrews was Battle Cat. Pretty much, I could say that. You know, I mean, it's a few other levels, but Battle Cat was a big turning point because that was like my mainstream tier. That was like hit records here, like million record sales, 2 million records, 80,000, 100,000 songs, 50,000 songs, 50,000 songs, 80,000, 80,000, 100, 250,000, 5-song deal, 300,000, 400,000, 1 point. It was, you was hearing these numbers at a rapid speed. I was still living with my mama, so I was just hearing them. But I was like, God damn, I gotta be in the mix, cuz I gotta get in. What I gotta do to get in? How many? And Battle Cat was like, work hard, do a gang of music. You know, I met Warren Campbell. Warren Campbell, one of my mentors. He a hardworking dude. He been preaching hard work. Warren Campbell probably been rich most of his whole life. He been preaching hard work since his whole life to me. You know, he told me if you a recording artist, your job is to record every day. So it was mixed with art and hustle, and I had a baby at 16, so I was like, and the mother of my child, just in case you, what's up, Nicole? You know what I'm saying? At that time, she was a beast. She would not let me breathe of no child support payments late. I've been paying child support since I was a child. So in the midst of being a hustler anyway, which paying child support to my baby at 16 didn't really make it none. It just wanted me to be like, oh, okay, now I got to charge these niggas triple. You know what I'm saying? So it made me just turn up the hustle. But how I had to turn up the hustle, I had to fall back and be down on my luck for like 5 years and get beat up through the game. More than that, you know, we all still get beat up. You know, won't nobody talk about it, but everybody still get a bruise. You know what I'm saying? So, but back then it was heavy bruises, heavy like, we ain't fucking with you, and that was just the game. Like it wasn't what it is now at all. And you know, going through that, you know what I'm saying? But still just going hard, being in love with it. And since the mainstream wasn't fucking with me, I wasn't fucking with the mainstream, and that's why I took my shit to the hood. Because I saw how Battle Cat, what I loved about Cat, he was from my neighborhood, and he talked my language, but he was a musical genius. And he was from LA, and he understood. He just knew. He still know more than me. I wanted to learn. I was in love with learning. So Battle Cat was a teacher. So I was in love with being around him every day, from fashion to cars to us listening to Faith Evans records, going through sounds and what 808s was done here, and him teaching me who Chucky Thompson was and different people. But Battle Cat was just like, you know, he was just like the all in all. So. And I saw how he was able to move his publishing financially around. So I just saw the power, that's a word, the power through publishing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I seen how to take care of your babies. Because, you know, I was struggling. It was hard to pay child support. And it was, you know, it was hard. And, you know, back then, I think young men and young women, we didn't know. Well, me and her, you know, we was just young. So we was babies having babies. We didn't know our roles in life. We didn't know. We're not those people now. We didn't know what we was, you know, it was a fucked up twist. You know what I'm saying? Being a baby and being careless. You know what I'm saying? You know, because if somebody would have said, you know, that's why I say I tell my little boy, I'll be like, hey, use a condom because you can make a child with your dick. If somebody would have just said that to me, like, you could make a human being with your dick, that right there would have been like, ah! But they didn't, you feel me? I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying my different as parents, you know, I'm the opposite than my parents was than my kids.
Listen, I keep it 100 galley with my kids. Do you hear?
Well, you got two kings, so your shit got to be like 1,000, you know?
Listen.
Hey, hey. With love.
You hear me? Listen. Wait, so fast forward. Listen, first of all, the amount of knowledge and history you just dropped, not only about Black culture and Black music of yourself, and being so transparent. This is why I did this series today, because we are fucking powerful. We are so powerful. We are so rich. You understand? We are so rich. We bring so much value to the table. And I was saying to Head, when Head was on, you know, people, I'm sure, come at Head like, oh, play my music, play my song, but Head offers so much more value than just getting people's music played, and everything that you just dropped right now, like hands down solid, hands down, right? So
Head is powerful. You know, you know, the real ones, the ones that know better, we trust Head's opinion. You know what I'm saying? I trust Head's opinion because he didn't grow up in the arts like that. That's why I trust his opinion. You know, those are the people who I'm doing art for. I'm trying to touch the hearts of the people. So when Head would come in, you know, I remember I played Head a lot of, you know, I can't say what I played him before because artists are mad, but a lot of the records that have came out have been very, very, very successful records. Head has been to my personal home when I was staying in Porter Ranch, and I said, "What you think?" And Head is the one that taught me about you instantly come in with the bass drum when you want something very fast and expedient emotion to spark. You can't wait with musical intros. You
yeah,
come first. It was called a DJ pack, but I'm getting like analytical for the
yeah.
college that followed me. But so it was an urgency. Head taught me get to the point in a record, and I use that concept in jazz, classical. That I get to the point because I don't want anybody to lose anything, so I get to the point. And head is valuable. A lot of folks, you know, we be wanting to drown Head. We be wanting to slap the dog shit out of Head for some of the shit he say to us. But that's our brother. We love Head. We from LA. We love Head from LA. He from Carson, but it's LA. You feel me? Head from LA. We love Head. You know, Head be talking shit though, but we love that nigga.
A whole shit talker. A whole, but he can back it up
He
and
can't always, and he been like that since a kid.
thorough.
Him and Chuck.
I'm not from LA, just from me knowing, just like
Yeah,
thorough. Period. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
But him and Chuck are pillars out here. Like with him and Chuck kept together. That, you know, without him and Chuck, without Head and Chuck, you know, in now, well, earlier on before the internet was crazy and everything was going on at a rapid pace, it was still going fast. But at one point, you either was not cracking or you was cracking in the rap scene and everything. What Head and Chuck did was provide a middle level to prepare you for cracking. So I would always keep my pulse on them and hang out with Chuck and Head because I was, you know, I'm a little bit older than them, but I was seeing what they was doing. So I would go over there, do interviews. I was already doing records with Snoop and everything, but I wasn't the guy with my older homeboys. And I knew by me studying jazz and knowing what scenes, what renaissances were, I knew I was a part from on the cracking level, I wasn't that cracking. But on the medium level in my community, LA, Compton, Watts, in my community, I was damn near like Dr. Dre. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I'm being overreactive, but they provided a space that prepared all of us to be owners of our own art. Kendrick Lamar, Ab-Soul, J-Rock, Schoolboy Q, myself. I mean, I could just name them. The list goes on and on. The list goes on and on. All of the artists that they provided a platform, they taught us how to do interviews. You know, they taught us by us just doing them and them asking questions that nobody wanted to interview 100% of us back then. That's a fucking fact. You know what I'm saying? But they provided a good radio space. You know, of the middle.
Yeah. Before we get, because my two, I'm afraid to. I'm not afraid because I already know
It's all good.
door is on and cracking, and I know the girl is holding behind you. Talk to us. What is the dinner party? How did it get started? You recently did a collab or an interview with the Broad Museum, which was freaking amazing. If you guys have not watched it, that's on Terrace's page. Amazing. What is the dinner party? How did it get started? Robert Glasper, and then talk to us about the connection between Basquiat and his contribution to jazz music.
Me and Robert Glasper met when we was 15 at a jazz camp in Vail, Colorado. Me and Kamasi met 13, 14 years old at Fifth Street Dix. Me and Knife Winter met years later, about 15 years ago. So we've all been friends for a long time, and me and Robert always thought it'd be a good idea to figure out some type of musical quest or something without a band, just me and him and a DJ. So the idea, and I never will forget, we were discussing this backstage in London. We was in London a few years ago, and I was like, man, we need to do something. And you know, me, I'm always like, we need to do something and go get the bag at the hip hop club. But we can't take no motherfucking band in there because ain't no room for that shit. But we need to play the hits that we got in the hip hop spot, right? Because I saw Scott Storch doing some shit like that. But I was like, man, we need to do that shit, but on a, you know, on on a soulful, intense, like black level. You feel me? Like, you know, some shit, jazz, R&B, boom, play other people's shit and our shit, talk, box it out, like just me, you, and a DJ. He's like, I like that. So we got back to LA and we never talked about it again, but I was in the studio and I was working with Anderson .Paak. So Kamasi was there. Kamasi was there. I never will forget that motherfucker. He was there and we was chilling. And then I said, man, I want to do this group with me and Rob and a DJ. You want to record some songs? You down to be part of that? No. I want to do this group with Rob. He said, okay, cool. So now I'm going to get Knife Wonder send a beat. Knife Wonder sent 7 beats. The 7 that are, he sent those beats. He just sent those beats, those 7 beats. And then I recorded those beats and I'm like, hey, you want to be part of this group? And Kamasi's like, yeah. So I said, let's do some parts. And we just did some parts. And I was like, I called Rob, like, what the fuck we gonna call it? And Rob is a genius when it comes to names. He's a real, he'd be like, dinner party. And I was like, fuck it, dinner party, we gone. And then, you know, from the artwork down, it's all family shit. Rob said the name. I don't go back and forth with my folks about nothing because they're geniuses to me. So I don't question the genius. I don't call him a genius and question him. It's artistically. Maybe on food, liquor, weed, yeah, but artistically, if a motherfucker's a bad motherfucker, your job is to paint your shit around they shit and pick up the pieces. So Rob said dinner party, boom. I'm like, damn, we need some artwork. Kamasi, we need some artwork. Kamasi's like, my sister, she, you know, she be drawing and shit. And I was like, I remember she was born, cuz, like, let's call her. He like, you want to see some test prints? I'm like, I don't want to see shit. Tell her, listen to the record, see how I feel. I don't care what it look like. And she sent back that shit. Everything. And I was like, hey, you know, it was just, I let everybody do their shit. I think that's my quality. And I'm going to say that my quality is letting everybody be them. Because so many people want to put everybody in the box, whether it's family, whether it's children, whether it's mother, whether it's father, whether it's husband, whether it's wife. Everybody wants to control some element of somebody and put everything in the box. Like everybody's fighting for control. It's kind of like everybody has like a bit of like, everybody fight for some type of control. I know, and art is the one place I shouldn't be fighting for a motherfucking thing. That's the one place in my life I can escape and I don't got to deal with the bullshit I got to deal with on earth. On earth, I already have to deal with shit. You know, if it was up to me, you know what I would do? I would fucking play the piano all day, overlooking the water with my kids running around and nobody in the world paying mortgage or rent. It's just you got to get in. You got to get in. Maybe, you know, we got to be programs and it got to be certain ratings. But that's what I'd rather do. Just chill with nobody stressing out with a gang of motherfucking weed. You feel me? That's it.
Yeah. What was talk to us really quick about what was Basquiat's what was his contribution to jazz music? You talked about this in your interview when you were talking at the Broad Museum. What was his connection and his contribution to that? Because a lot of people just think Basquiat and just think art.
His, you know what? I'm going to say personally what I feel about his contribution. This is my personal feeling. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters for me personally. Is my personal feeling, his contribution. Because that's the one I take with. His contribution, when I look at, let's talk about a few layers. When I look at his art, at the time he was painting, he could have been painting about any motherfucking thing at that time. Understand, bebop is an art that was like kind of over in the 50s. It wasn't cracking. Nobody was going to the club saying, play me the bebop newest. It wasn't cracking. For him to be that level of an artist in pop culture as well, to take the individual responsibility and courage to use his space of life to paint what I consider to be somewhat hieroglyphics and puzzles and pieces to our history is his art. Like if a kid just go see that and say, "Mama, what is that?" "Oh, that's Charlie Parker Bird." Just that right there. That right there. He may not even know what the fuck Charlie Parker Bird is the next day, but that triggered that brain to do something. Something. So it's like his work is like sketches of freedom to me, sketches of clues to our history, you know. And at the time, because I know what it's like to be popular at a timeline and have to do popular shit to make sure you be able to get that money. I know what that feels like. And I know the courage it takes to go left. So when I see his paintings and what he was doing, and I read who he was hanging out with, I'm like, this motherfucker was the baddest motherfucker alive. Sheesh. I mean, this motherfucker will pull up, hang out with Grace Jones, and then go to a jazz club that night. Like, I'm talking about like, you know, that's why I be doing that shit too. I study him. I pull up to the jazz spots, buy out the motherfucking board. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep that shit fly, because that you got to, the lifestyle's exciting. Everything's exciting. Basquiat represents exciting life. He embodies every form of Black freedom for me. And fun, but serious. Like knowing how to be fun within the serious guidelines of I have a responsibility as a Black artist.
Yes.
Yeah. That's important, to know how to have fun within the guidelines. You know, like me, I don't have no guidelines. I just know my purpose. So I'm doing my purpose. My purpose is, if I'm not helping somebody heal, what the fuck am I doing on earth? Period. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever I'm doing. So it's like you got to know. And it's like he was a master at what I hope to become a tenth of. He had already projected almost his full potential, I believe. You know, and I say almost because none of us know what the creator would have done with him later on. That's why I'm saying almost. I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
You know, media loves to say this fool right before he was the greatest. And you shut the fuck up. You don't know what the fuck somebody's gonna be if they passed on.
Yeah.
They love to put a silent, what I call a silent little nudge, period, on our shit. But our shit keep living forever.
Period. This is why we're here right now.
It keep growing forever.
This is why we're here. Man, Terrace, I genuinely, like, first of all, Terrace and I have never met personally. You know, my son.
The video though, I fuck with you with the babies on the video. That was hard.
We were in the video. We got
the
video, and I reached out to Terrace to ask him about mentorship for my nonprofit. Hands down, without question, he said, "Let's do it." So for me, connecting vibes and energy, when you know your tribe, you know your tribe. And I feel like this is what we need as a community. We needed your voice. We need your music. We need everything that you offer today here moving forward. We need that. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I invited you on. So I want to thank you so much for taking this time out. And thank you to Miss Connie, because she gave me.
Hey, I got about one more minute before I got to go in there.
I'm like,
I just made her last night. I said, look, you're going to have to dress up one of these Ken dolls more like a boy for me to really start fucking with you with the doll. I didn't say fucking with you, but for me to really start playing with you with these dolls. I mean, I can't be the girl every time with you. I want to be the man, like, hey, Connie, let's, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm trying to like, hey, Connie, let's go to the, I can't even play right with it with the toy. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to everybody that get out, they get out. But I'm saying, like, you know, it's like small shit that are task.
Listen, it's that's a different type of connectivity with the dad and his daughter.
It's real.
That's on a whole nother level. And that's another reason why you're here, brother, because I genuinely, Terrace, salute you for like just being present. You know what I'm saying? For being an example of being present in, you know, your kid's life and your daughter. And I love watching the posts of you showing her and educating her on music and all that good stuff. And whatever, I don't know, I mean, we know now you're past with you, but like, if nothing else, you are standing tall and strong now. So
appreciate that. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now. You out there from DC. I know about go. Man, I used to be in DC, Baltimore, VA. I know the whole, come on, man.
Yeah.
I got partners and players all through that particular area.
Yeah, I'm already hip. I'm already hip. We love you, Terrace. Keep it moving. We're going to keep supporting you. Thank you for coming through. I really, this, like, you dropped nothing but jewels, solid jewels, this entire interview.
Come on now, let's do part 2 one day. Let's do it.
Here, say less.
Peace.
Mic drop. We are rich. Black people are rich. We ain't just celebrating Black history 30 days out of the month, out of the year. Hello, we making history every day, 24/7, 365. Okay, I love you guys. Have an amazing week. Man, I'm full. I'm full. Terrace and DJ Head, I'm full. All right, y'all. Be peace. Peace. Be good to yourselves. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. We rich. We're rich. We're fucking rich. We're rich. Pass this along. Continue our tribes. Continue our communities. All right, y'all. Peace.